Okay. Yeah, feel free to hang around a bit, or I'm just gonna be doing push-ups over here and making a lot of noises. So.
Make sure you breathe.
He's really gonna do it.
Dude, no, dude, I
And he's
haven't
still
been
recording.
this week. Oh, yeah, I don't care. No one's gonna watch this far.
Oh. You should face the camera towards you so we can see if you're doing them right.
I'm not, because I'm doing them on my knees. Since my ankles are injured, I've been doing them on my knees.
Those are fine. Revised push-ups.
Well, I didn't know you're supposed to breathe after every push-up. Really?
I'm not saying you should. That's what you should do. I'm just saying you should breathe.
To breathe,
But
yeah.
when I do exercise, I mean push-ups, that's how I breathe. I don't know how other people do it, so that's how I breathe. But I can tell that you're not breathing. You're holding your breath.
Yeah.
See, oxygen to your muscles.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need oxygen.
Are you about to pass out or what?
What about y'all? What's happening? What are y'all gonna do the rest of the night?
I'm gonna work out right now. Make my mom work out with me.
Yeah.
Full body
I'm
workout.
tired. I'm gonna go to bed.
Get ready for your workout tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, we need rest, man. I'm trying to figure out my schedule, but I've been sleeping in on Wednesday and Fridays.
Would a sleeping in an extra hour or half hour?
Man, like today I woke up at after 9, so that's like an extra 2 hours.
That's nice.
I'm envious.
Also didn't sleep well. Sounds what?
I said I'm envious.
Hey, John, you can just go sleep and not wake up until tomorrow before Bible study.
He has his workout.
Oh, yeah.
I won't do that. I won't do that. I'll wake up at tomorrow, even though I work out at 9:30. I'll get up at 6:30 or 7. Okay. I could sleep in, but that's time I wake up. I may wake up at 5:30 and stay awake.
Oh no.
When you get old.
Your body wants to sleep, but then it doesn't want to sleep. Okay.
Right. Or you I think it's part of it is, you lay in bed for however long and then you're laying in a position and then your body is tired, like it gets tired of just laying in that position. So and even though I may toss and turn, it's just I just want to eventually just get out of bed because I can't take it anymore. When I was younger, I used to just sleep and didn't think about it. And I could go to sleep anywhere, anytime.
Oh, wow.
Now it's like I have to contemplate it. Or I have to catch the train. That's what it is. I call it catch the train because the train may pass by and I might not be able to go to sleep after the train goes by.
Wow.
Yeah, you missed your ride, huh?
Missed my ride. Right.
Sleep train. I tend to catch it. I tend to catch the sleeping train, not by choice, when I'm sitting in a sermon.
Oh yeah, that's what's embarrassing is it happens when it does hit you. It could be anywhere. It could be like I'm driving home and all of a sudden I just get really sleepy. I'm in church, I'll fall asleep, or I'm at work and I just and all of a sudden I know I dozed off.
Yeah, mine is when I'm driving and I'm tired. I doze off. I'm like, oh Lord, please help me. It's like dangerous. Yeah.
I just record after our Bible study because sometimes there's some great topics going on, but we're just not tonight. That's okay. We need fun times too.
I have a question. See how I frame this. You talk to somebody or tell somebody something, and they're not necessarily saved, and they'll say, "Oh, I'll pray for you," or "I'll pray for you." Meaning they'll pray for you, not right at that spot, that moment, but I'll think of you in my prayers, and it's like, well, how do I react to that? How do you respond to that? Sometimes I just say thank you. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to say, oh, your prayers are not going to be heard. You're not saved.
You're not a righteous man, so the Lord's not going to answer. Oh, thank you.
I just say,
what do y'all think?
I mean, what do you do? Have you had that where somebody says, they're not saved, but they say, I'll remember you in my prayers.
Mhm.
Like, you know, say it's the guy, like I have one friend that's a Buddhist and he says that to me and I was kind of like, okay, okay, thank you. I
Do
don't
they
know how
pray?
to react to that. Huh?
They don't pray to Buddha, do they? Like, what does that even
I
mean
don't
for?
know. But he said he has said that to me before and I was like, oh, like kind of like I didn't know they prayed to Buddha either.
How would you answer that, Neil?
I was just asking, I don't know, ask them questions like, what does prayer look like to you? And
Mhm.
like and then like just respond with a biblical idea of prayer, according to the Bible. Oh man, you put me on the spot. I can't even think of like good scripture references. I have to look some up. Prayer. I can't think of it. That's so bad. But
It depends on the context. Yeah, I'm also like you, Neil, trying to think of what the Bible says. Like, better is a friend who's close by than a brother who's far away. In the sense of, if you're suffering and then a friend wants to console you, right? And, I'll be praying for you. You don't just say like, oh no, you're headed to hell. Like,
Right. Well, I
it
didn't want to
might be
be.
the right time, huh? Huh?
No, I don't want to say anything like that because I just seem like I'll be rude
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
perceived
But
as
if it's
being
a
rude by saying,
But if it's like a long conversation, right, where you have an open door to talk about these things, and
right,
yeah, it makes like if I was talking to my friend I've known since middle school, and we get together often a couple times a year. If he was to say something like that to me, then I would probably bring up, oh, but what do you mean, right? You know the gospel, you know these truths, you know you're enemy of God. So what do you mean by you'll pray for me? But if like
uh-huh,
you're mourning, something happened in your life and your friend's just trying to help you out, then what do you say? It's like it's like you don't tell the child while you're teaching them to pray, like God doesn't hear anything you say until you turn from your sin and believe in Jesus. It was
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah, well, if you think that way, and sometimes I tend to think that way. Spurgeon, not Spurgeon, or somebody said, while you are neglecting to teach your children the things of the Lord because you think they're not Christian or whatever, the
mhm,
devil and the world's having no problem teaching them everything they know and how to
right,
live. And depends on the person, your relationship to that person, the context. If it's in
yeah,
passing, right, 5 seconds, then, okay, just let it slide. But if it's a long conversation, you have a relationship with this person. Like my parents said that, then that might be an opportunity again to like Neil. What do you mean? Explain.
Proverbs 15:29. Yahweh is far from the wicked, but
Are you righteous? Yeah.
we're separated from God.
Mm.
People think they talk to God, but in a sense, God does hear everyone. But unless you turn from your sin first, not going to hear you. Like he only hears the prayer of the righteous, and we know only hope for righteousness and how God can hear your prayers.
Yeah, that's a topic for another time, right? Where God does hear everyone. He hears Satan right now. In the Bible, he has conversations with Satan. What
Mhm.
does that mean?
right,
Perhaps someday when God intentionally withdraws his presence and he casts them into hell, then there's no more conversation. Good question. I need to write these down. You see that guy? There's one person who keeps asking a lot of different kind of questions on YouTube, and they're really good. The first one was, who or what is Yahweh? Then, should I read the Bible? Where should I start reading the Bible from the beginning? Another question recently was, what version of the Bible do you use? So I gave him the 5 different versions that I use. Things like that. Right? And yeah. How should I answer the unbeliever? I'll pray for you. Hey, but go prioritize your family. If you're with family, Romy, go
All right, I
exercise
was
of your
gonna
mom.
let All right, guys.
Yeah.
See you. Bye,
Night,
guys.
Romy. Always a joy. Good to see you back and your voice back.
I know, me too. Thank you guys for praying.
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe you could say, and I'll pray for you too. They'll be like, what? For the salvation of your soul.
of course. I guess it caught me off guard a few times because I was like, what the one friend
Mhm.
is, like I said, he's Buddhist. And when he said that, I was like, oh, thank you. I didn't know what, it did catch me off guard because I didn't know he prayed. I didn't think Buddhists prayed. I thought they just probably think about these affirmations that they run through their head or don't think
Mm.
about anything at all. So I thought it was peculiar when he said he would pray for me.
Yeah, because what does that look like? Buddha is not omniscient. Like, who is he praying to? What is the purpose of his prayers?
As far as I know, Buddha is just a statue,
He was just like a holy man, right?
a philosopher or something like that,
Yep.
right?
Buddha's
Yep, not a god.
He's not God. He's not gonna be able to answer your prayers.
What about you, Neil? What you got to do tonight?
I'll probably just go to bed though soon.
Yeah, that's good on a Friday. Y'all worked hard this week.
Do you have any good book recommendations or studies for the attributes of God? A.W. Pink, Tozer.
Yep. The first two you mentioned are good short books. Then Charnock's, like, if you want to spend, it's a huge tome. So
Yeah, I think Tozer's the shortest one, right? Maybe. So,
Tozer and Pink are both very tiny, so those would be good starts. Then Brad and Men of the Word did Attributes of God 2 years, so you could find his recordings and all his notes too. Those would be good places on the Grace Church website.
all right, I'll check that out.
You know, we should do that sometime. It's great, just getting to know the character of God more.
Because I know Lucas, they're doing the study. They're doing Attributes of God, right? I wasn't sure if you knew or not. Because I know he did Simplicity of God before that one time. I'm wondering if he's using like a book or if he's just doing his own study.
There's so many things we want to study. I'd like to go through the Biblical Doctrine book by Pastor John and Dick Mayhew. I'd like to go through Attributes of God. I like to go through Spiritual Depression. It's like we could add another evening, or another time in the week to meet for that. Or someone could read it on their own and share it in videos. And we could just listen to it afterwards. Maybe this summer we could go through Biblical Doctrine, start going through it.
There's also books on Audible that you can read or listen to. There's several books by John Piper, and there's John MacArthur books on Audible. They didn't used to have those when I first got Audible. They didn't have that much of a selection, but now they have a pretty wide selection. So I listen to them when I'm driving to work or coming home from work.
I was trying to log into my Audible yesterday, but since I got a new phone, it wasn't logged in. So I was like, I'll do it another time. But I just gave it to my chiropractor too. Agape Leadership, I think that's what it's called. A very short booklet, snapshots from the life of a man named R.C. Chapman. And a quote on him, Spurgeon said, "He's the most saintliest man I knew." In the Men of the Word Leadership, maybe 5 years ago, we went through that. Very tiny booklet, just excerpts taken out of a larger biography. Whew. Yeah, things like that. I think it'd be rich if we had short book summaries to share with people. Maybe it'll whet their appetite for more things. You got to help me, man. I love my comics. The stories are very intriguing. Maybe I start using them in illustrations. We've been learning this past week, using illustrations in your messages. And it's been rich. I did not realize how much. Now I'm so aware of when people use illustrations, even today, from talking about, a parent talking to a kid, who ate out of the cookie jar or something like that. That's a short illustration right there. And it helps people to relate and understand the truths of God's word. Yeah. A.W. Pink, that's the one we went to for Men of the Word for one of the conferences that year too. I thought Tozer Knowledge of the Holy was harder to understand than A.W. Pink. So
Knowledge of the Holy?
That's the Tozer one, the short one.
But he also did like Attributes of God, right? Tozer?
Oh, did he? Possibly. These men of God, it's interesting. They all have quirks. Like apparently Tozer's marriage was horrible, or he was never there.
He was what?
Things like that. He was never there.
What do you mean?
I don't even know if I should have brought that up.
He's always on the road.
He is so much in his books and I guess with God that he neglected his family. So.
Oh, he was never
Yeah, you think of George Whitefield. He married a widow and it was a bad marriage. John Wesley, I think too. Yeah, bad marriage. Like his wife hated him. You just wonder. All these people had quirks, but hey, it's like us, right? Yes. Put your faith in God, not in man. Every man, you could probably find a quirk. Why did I bring that up? It doesn't help.
Do you think that detracts from their ministry and in some way that should be taken into consideration?
I guess people hold ministers. I mean, they are men of God, but I think people tend to hold them like they're supposed to be perfect and they're not perfect. And that shows that there's a flaw, that human flaw in all of us. So, they may have delivered these great sermons and inspired many people and had brought many people to Christ, but still that human side, if they were perfect, they would have, saved, had all these people come to, be saved, and then they would have a perfect home life. But they're not that way. They're human. So maybe they didn't learn how to have a balance between the two. But they were just, some people have that personality where they can they're all into this and none into anything else. So, and then you have some people that they found that balance. They can balance having a family and balance their careers and what have you.
But I mean, that is a qualification for an elder. If a man doesn't know how to lead his own household, how will he take care of the church of God?
True.
So your church, if your wife hates you, I mean, like, man, you got to take care of that. I don't know. That's kind of like, isn't that like a potential disqualification if your family's in disarray?
So in
Yeah.
a sense, he wasn't a pastor, right? Well, yeah, you got to think about these men. And David Livingstone, he became a missionary to Africa, I think, and then left his family, but had his wife's support in doing that. So that's kind of weird.
He left his family? What does that mean? Like
As in, he just left for the mission field, and
he didn't support them at all and not just cut off ties, or what is that? He just left them behind? Or
no, his wife was actually a big supporter of his mission, so she'd go around raising support for him.
okay, so just like they're like not together. They're
So
still together even though they weren't together.
that's also odd, yeah. You would think you'd bring your wife with you. Really, everyone has quirks. David, I have a friend in the past who justified his sins because, look, didn't God forgive David of his adultery? Our Spurgeon smoked, so I could smoke too.
R.C. Sproul.
Luther drank, so I could drink. R.C. Sproul, yeah, things like that, right? And look how he died.
He had lung cancer.
R.C. Sproul, let's see.
Yeah, he had like I remember he had like the tubes in his nose towards the end.
Yep, I remember that.
And he had a hard time breathing, coughing a lot. I always kind of assumed it was probably due to, at least in some parts, of his smoking.
A longtime heavy cigarette smoker, Sproul had suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Citation needed. Possibly. I mean, it doesn't make you healthier, I assume. But that pull is always there to want to do those things. It's great seeing our YouTube channel picking up traction again. For a while, it seemed like, man, it's like nothing's happening. But for some reason,
I'd be like at 400 or no.
400 subscribers.
Yeah, there was one week we got like 200, but it's okay. God is the one in the end who brings the right people. And I was reminded again, hey, even if we didn't have one single subscriber and we were just doing this for the Bible study, that's enough. Everything else is icing on the cake. And now we got someone new joining our Bible study, right? That's exciting. Before you know it, maybe we'll have a huge online ministry and you'll have to pull me back from, remember us little folks. Can you imagine Pastor John, his worldwide ministry, and the people helping him to remember your priority is your church? So Neil, remember John when you become big and famous. Don't forget the little folks in Pasadena or Arcadia.
I'm pretty sure that's like enough. I'm pretty sure you don't have to worry about that.
I don't know, man. God can do anything. That's the wrong application of today.
Like with the passage today, like the Mark 5 and like people coming to Jesus for healing. I think like, man, like the other side of it, like what about all the people that go through suffering and aren't getting to end up being disappointed or embittered or lose heart? I don't know. I'm always a little bit apprehensive when it comes to like healing passages because people desire healing. The Lord doesn't choose, like, there's plenty of examples. Justin Peters, Johnny Exventata, even in our church, there's plenty of people who have cancer or this or that. It's like a reality in many people's lives. And the Lord does heal some, but many he chooses not to heal.
And it makes you think of all the people Jesus did heal in his ministry and how many of them did not go with him to heaven.
That's the thing with the narratives, right? Like it's like kind of like Acts, like, and it's describing things. You have to remember the context. Like Jesus was doing all these ministry healings, affirm who he was. That's not necessarily, I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot you could pull from the passages and principles and things like that. I wonder if people just like, I don't know. I hate to have people become like, oh, look at Jesus heals. They just like focus on like the good thing. I hate to see people become like fixated on like that sort of thing. And like, because really I see like Mark 5, like these people and like really suffering in general, like, like God uses it to draw us to him. Like if things always went well, we wouldn't necessarily seek after God. But when we go through hardships, like your aunt or whoever, a lot of times like God uses that to draw us closer to him or open our eyes, or, I think that's the greater blessing in Mark 5. Like, yeah, these people are healed, but spiritually, how much more? Like the last part, your faith has saved you, go in peace. Like this woman has peace with God. Yes, her unimaginable suffering she went through with her hemorrhage, but to have peace with God, that counts more than all. You can't quantify that. Like
It's a relational healing that the woman received at the end of the story. Man, even if she was never healed of the hemorrhage, I think she'd be okay.
I think there's another passage, I don't know if it's in Mark or where Jesus basically said that the crowd followed him was either to get food from him or to get healed, but they weren't listening to his overall message. They were ignoring that, the important part. He didn't say it that way. I paraphrase it, but the crowds weren't necessarily following him because he spoke the words of life to them. Their bellies were fed and the sick were healed, and they were focusing on those things. I mean, he is a God who, people think he will heal anybody, but he chooses who he's going to heal, just like he chooses who he's going to save. It's up to him. It's his choice. He saves who he wants to save, and he heals whom he decides he wants to heal. And those specific people that he heals, as Joe was saying, they were healed for a specific reason, like maybe someone else that they knew them, and whatever they experienced, they saw this person get healed, and it gave them faith. So God may heal me of some other person that he wants to reach out to. He didn't heal me just because he wanted to heal me. He had another intention for my healing. We don't know what that is.
He works all things for our good. Today, read Genesis 50. Joseph told his brothers, what you meant for evil, God meant for good.
I feel like a lot of times God doesn't choose to heal, and yet that still gives him even that much more glory, because then you get to see really people's faith, that people that, godly people who are going through hard times, and they still trust in the Lord. It's easy to say, oh, I trust in the Lord, and then if you get healed, but when you don't get healed and you still trust in the Lord, I think that's even more, in many ways, more of a powerful testimony of God working. I've heard stories of people coming to faith because, someone lost a loved one, this or this happened, and they suffered well. Because that is you can't really explain that. How can you believe in a God and yet that's a supernatural work of God, and that draws people to him.
God will glorify himself in sickness and in health. Well, I'm gonna shower and then do some homework and then try to catch the sleep train tonight.
See you guys
All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Love y'all. Always a joy.